I was wondering what your themes are that you like to invest in, what your sweet spot is.
Yeah, one theme that I've been spending a lot of time on over the past couple of years is what I call the woman's web. So, leveraging the fact that women are now, spend much more time than men on social networks, are spending more than men online, and in fact, kind of in terms of social and economic activity, the web is starting to more reflect the real world offline.
Fantastic.
So I've invested in a bunch of companies along that theme.
Yes.
Care.com, which is a marketplace for care services,
Right.
child care and elder care and pet care, and last year invested in a company called ThreadUp, which is an online exchange for secondhand kids clothing. It's all based on flat rate USPS boxes. Yeah. And last year invested in Beachmint, which is kind of a subscription service for jewelry, $29.99 a month for to pick a piece of personalized jewelry.
Fantastic.
So that's a theme that I've been pursuing and really feel like the wind's at its back.
Yes.
And just related to that, I've also been just spending time kind of in the social web in general.
Right. And it is interesting how women are taking up the web, because I remember when Farmville really hit the scene, they said that there was more women playing that game on Facebook than men.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I find so exciting about this theme of the women's web is that when you look at Zynga or you look at Guilt or you look at Groupon, the three big phenoms on the web, their success has been largely driven by women.
Yay!
Right? Yeah.
That's so great.
So the female consumer is a really important consumer, and I think figuring out what her needs are and building products and services around those needs, I think that there's gold in those hills.
And the best people to do that is women, to work that out, really.
Well, I do think that women have a more intuitive sense for those needs.
Yes.
But I would say, in all fairness, I look at a company like ThreadUp, which is an online exchange that I was describing, founded by three men that didn't even have until actually recently, none of them had children. One of them the founder and CEO has a child now. So I wouldn't say exclusively the domain of women, but I think that there is an advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. What do you look for in women entrepreneurs and startups that encourages you to invest in their businesses?
I'm not sure I look for anything different than I would for male entrepreneurs. Clearly have they identified a big meaty problem with, that sort of represents a significant market opportunity? Do they have relevant domain expertise to go about sort of attacking that problem? Have they built a great team or surround themselves with great people? Have they developed an innovative solution for approaching the problem, and does that involve some technology that is defensible? So and then finally, have they demonstrated any traction yet? So it's many of the same criteria that I would use in talking to male entrepreneurs.
So that's great. There's no bias at all, is what I'm hearing.
For me, I don't think so.
That's great. What do you think then that women entrepreneurs and startups can do to increase their chances of sourcing venture?
I think the number one thing is networking. And the reason I say that is that we are much more likely to invest in an entrepreneur that we have some history with or have gotten to know over a period of time, rather than an entrepreneur that we meet for the first time a week before they're expecting term sheets. Now, that's not to say that we don't do that, but we're much more likely, if we've had an opportunity to get to know that entrepreneur, has seen how they perform over time, or if somebody we know has that relationship with the entrepreneur, somebody that we know and trust. I mean, I think it can be one step removed. But it just comes down to, I think an entrepreneur should think about fundraising not just in the moment when they need to fundraise, but over kind of a long-term relationship building process, and just getting to know a lot of people, particularly in and around the venture world, so that they're almost warm leads. By the time they really do want to fundraise, they're in that window. They've got a bunch of warm leads of people they can go talk to that they know at some level, right?
And I think from the other side, from an entrepreneur's side, it definitely would change their level of confidence and how their ability to pitch as well, I would imagine.
I think that's right, because I think that meeting people in a more informal setting allows you to surface a lot of the objections and understand where an investor might be coming from on your business so you can be prepared.
Yes.
And frankly, it's good feedback, right? So if you can start incorporating in your business what metrics you should be tracking, what investors care about.
Yes.
So, and I think in those informal settings, you may be more likely to get really frank feedback than in that moment of the pitch. Maybe. I don't want to say that's universally true, but I think that it's possible that would be the case.
Yeah, sounds very fertile soil, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. What sort of challenges do women face if they become a venture capitalist?
You know, I think that some of the challenges are similar to what women face in any profession. So there's a style challenge, which is how do you be assertive without being perceived as a bitch?
Okay.
And how do you how can you be warm without appearing soft-hearted, right?
Okay.
Sort of, finding that stylistic sweet spot that everybody is comfortable with, where you sort of you could appear assertive in a board setting, but not have negative repercussions. And then also, how do you show warmth, right, without being perceived as too feminine or whatnot. So, and I think that that's true in other professions as well. I don't think it's unique to venture capital. And I'd say the other thing is, given that networking is super important, both from an entrepreneur and from a venture capitalist. One of the challenges is some networking venues are more or less comfortable for women, and so, finding ways to network effectively that are sort of comfortable for you as a woman venture capitalist, I think, are important.
Great, thank you. And what do you think needs to happen for venture companies to employ more women venture capitalists?
I think that's a chicken and egg question. I think to answer that question, you have to start by thinking about where do women venture capitalists come from, or where do any venture capitalists come from, right?
Yes.
And typically these days they are recruited out of startups,
yes,
sort of successful startup,
yes, yeah,
or they're sort of a senior executive in technology, sort of a large technology company. I think those are the two major places they come from these days.
Right.
So I think to have more women venture capitalists, you probably have to have more women who've been successful entrepreneurs, or more women who are senior executives in technology companies.
Okay.
So that is one mode. And then I think some venture firms have more of a tradition of nurturing and sort of apprenticeship, more of an apprenticeship model, where they'll take sort of bright people with maybe a small amount of experience in a startup, or some experience at a large technology company, and then we'll nurture them and sort of train them in the profession of venture capital. Trinity, for example, we do both. So we hire people who've been sort of successful CEOs out of industry.
Yeah.
And then we also hire people right out of business school, and we promote them from within. So we kind of do both models. And so I think to have more women venture capitalists, either you need to have more women who sort of in those senior positions, and again, I'm talking about technology, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Or they could actually be at more junior levels within technology companies or startups, but then they're probably looking more of an apprenticeship model.
Okay, brilliant. And probably starts even further back, because apparently women aren't. The figures have dropped 30% or something in the last 10 years of women studying technology subjects. So, organisations like Anita Borg and NCWIT are trying to encourage young girls to study technology. So
totally agree. You gotta take the problem back to its root. Yeah, exactly.